The discovery. The vast halls of the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime buzzed with routine activity. Admiral Vex of the Dominion fleet stood before the massive viewing screen, his purple-scaled hands clasped behind his back. For over 1,000 years the Dominion had ruled the galaxy with absolute power. Every species they encountered had bowed before their might within days of first contact. A sharp beep interrupted his thoughts. The communication panel lit up with an incoming transmission from the Outer Rim territories. Captain Kira's image appeared on the screen, her usually calm demeanor showing signs of excitement. "Admiral, we have discovered a new species in Sector 7, she reported, her voice crackling through the long-range transmission. They inhabit a blue-green world orbiting a yellow star. The beings call themselves humans." Admiral Vex turned toward the screen, his interest barely stirring. Another primitive species to add to the Empire's collection. "What is their technological level, Captain?" "They have recently achieved faster-than-light travel, sir. Their ships are small, their technology appears basic compared to our standards. However, they have spread to several worlds in their system." The Admiral's mouth curved into what passed for a smile among his species. "Typical newcomers. How many worlds do they control?" "Approximately 8 planets and dozens of smaller colonies, Admiral. Their population appears to be in the billions across their territory." Admiral Vex waved a dismissive hand. "Send the standard intimidation fleet. 50 warships should be more than sufficient to bring these humans into line. We will follow the usual protocol." Captain Kira nodded. "Understood, sir. Should we prepare the integration protocols for their absorption into the Empire?" "Of course. Another species will learn to serve the Dominion, just as all others have before them." The Admiral's confidence was absolute. In his long career, he had overseen the conquest of 17 different species. Each had surrendered within hours of seeing Dominion power. The communication ended, and Admiral Vex returned to his duties. The conquest of these humans would be just another routine operation. Their small ships and primitive technology posed no threat to the mighty Dominion Empire. 3 days later, the intimidation fleet approached the edge of human space. 50 massive warships, each one capable of destroying entire cities, moved in perfect formation toward the third planet from the yellow star. Commander Brix, leading the fleet, opened communications with the human world. "Primitive species of the third planet," his voice boomed across space. "You are now subjects of the Dominion Empire. Surrender immediately and prepare for integration. Resistance will result in the destruction of your civilization." The response came faster than expected. A calm human voice replied, "This is Earth Defense Command. We have received your message and considered your demands. We respectfully decline your offer. Please leave our space immediately." Commander Brix stared at his communication officer, in disbelief. "Did they just refuse us?" "Yes, sir." They declined to surrender. The bridge fell silent. In over 1,000 years of expansion, no species had ever simply said no to the Dominion's demands. Fear, pleading, desperate negotiations, these were the normal responses. But outright refusal? Commander Brix activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships prepare for demonstration attack. Target their outer colonies. We will show these humans the price of defying the Dominion Empire." As the massive alien fleet powered up their weapons, preparing to make an example of humanity's boldness, they failed to notice the small objects moving silently through the asteroid fields around them. Hidden among the rocks and ice, human ships waited and watched, their crews ready for what was to come. The Dominion had encountered many species in their 1,000-year reign of conquest. They had faced desperate defenders, advanced civilizations, and warrior races. But they had never encountered anything quite like humanity, and they were about to learn why that would change everything. First Strike Commander Brix watched the targeting systems lock onto the human colonies on Mars. The Red Planet hosted several mining facilities and research stations, perfect targets to demonstrate Dominion power without completely destroying the species. Fear was a useful tool for control. "All ships prepare to fire on my command," Brix announced across the fleet communication system. "A few destroyed colonies should convince these humans to see reason." The massive Dominion warships aligned their energy cannons toward the Martian settlements. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level entire continents. The humans would witness this display and immediately surrender, just like every other species before them. "Weapons charged and ready, Commander," reported the tactical officer. "Fire." Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Dominion fleet toward Mars. But before the deadly light could reach its targets, something unexpected happened. Small, sleek ships emerged from behind asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. These human vessels moved with incredible speed and precision, nothing like the crude technology the Dominion had expected. "Sir, we have multiple contacts," the sensor officer called out in alarm. "Human ships are approaching from all directions." Commander Brix studied the tactical display with growing confusion. The human ships were tiny compared to Dominion vessels, but they moved like nothing he had ever seen. They accelerated at speeds that should have crushed their crews, turned at angles that should have torn their hulls apart. "How many ships?" Brix demanded. "Counting now, sir. Over 200 contacts and rising." The first wave of human fighters reached the Dominion fleet's outer edge. Instead of the desperate, disorganized attack Brix expected, the humans struck with surgical precision. Their weapons targeted specific systems, communication arrays, sensor clusters, weapon mounts. They knew exactly where to hit. "Return fire, destroy these insects," Brix ordered. The Dominion ships turned their massive guns toward the attacking humans, but the small vessels were too fast, too agile. They darted between the giant alien ships like angry wasps, striking and moving before the heavy weapons could track them. Lieutenant Cole, piloting one of the human fighters, spoke into his communication system. "Phoenix Squadron, target the lead ship's communication tower. We need to cut their coordination." "Copy that, Phoenix Leader," came the replies from his squadron mates. The human pilots worked together with seamless coordination. While one group distracted the alien gunners, another struck at vulnerable points. Their missiles could change direction mid-flight, their energy shields adapted to incoming fire, and their ships performed maneuvers that defied conventional physics. On the Dominion flagship, alarms screamed throughout the bridge. "Commander, we've lost communication with 7 ships," the communication officer reported. "The humans are jamming our long-range transmissions." Brix watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet took damage from these supposedly primitive creatures. Dominion ships that had conquered entire star systems were being torn apart by human fighters a fraction of their size. "How is this possible?" he whispered. The human attacks intensified. Captain Sarah Martinez, commanding the human battleship Defiance, coordinated the larger vessels in the defense fleet. "All cruisers, focus fire on the enemy flagship. Fighters, keep hitting their support ships. Don't let them regroup." The Dominion had never faced tactics like these. Other species fought for survival, throwing everything they had in desperate attempts to save themselves. But the humans fought with cold calculation and perfect teamwork. Every move was planned, every attack coordinated. "Sir, we've lost 12 ships," the tactical officer announced. "Enemy fire is somehow penetrating our shields." Commander Brix stared at the battle display in disbelief. His fleet was being systematically destroyed by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. The humans didn't just defend, they attacked with a ferocity and skill that shocked the veteran Dominion commander. "All ships retreat to safe distance," Brix finally ordered, his voice shaking. "Fall back beyond the asteroid belt." The order sent waves of shock through the Dominion fleet. Retreat? The mighty Dominion Empire had never retreated from any battle in over 1,000 years of conquest. As the alien ships pulled back, licking their wounds, the humans didn't pursue. Instead, they formed protective formations around their colonies, watching and waiting. But Commander Brix's sensors detected something that chilled him to his core. Throughout the human solar system, massive fleets were emerging from hidden bases, ships larger than anything they had initially detected, moving with the same impossible speed and coordination as the fighters. The humans hadn't just defended against the Dominion attack, they had been holding back their true strength. As his damaged fleet limped toward the edge of the solar system, Commander Brix realized that the Dominion Empire had just encountered something entirely new. These humans were not like any species they had faced before, and somewhere in the back of his mind a terrifying thought began to form. What if the humans decided to follow them home? Continue to part 3? Let me know if you'd like me to write the next part where the humans take the fight to the Dominion E. The counterattack. Admiral Vex paced the command center on Nexus Prime, his scaled face showing deep concern as he read Commander Brix's battle report. The retreat from human space had shocked the entire Dominion hierarchy. Never before had their forces been forced to withdraw from a conquest. Impossible, Vex muttered, reviewing the casualty numbers. 13 ships destroyed, 27 damaged, all by a species that achieved spaceflight only decades ago. His thoughts were interrupted by urgent alarms throughout the command center. Communications Officer Zane rushed to his station, his face pale with fear. Admiral, we're receiving distress calls from Outpost 7 in the Kepler system, Zane reported. They're under attack by human forces. Admiral Vex spun around. That's impossible. Kepler is 40 light-years from human space. They couldn't have traveled that distance so quickly. Sir, the transmission is confirmed. Outpost 7 has gone silent. Before Vex could respond, another alarm sounded. Then another. Across the vast Dominion Empire, reports flooded in of simultaneous human attacks on military installations, supply depots, and communication relays. On the bridge of the human battleship Endeavour, General Ross studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Phase 1 complete. All primary targets neutralized. Begin Phase 2 operations. Admiral Blake, commanding the human fleet from the carrier Horizon, nodded approvingly. Outstanding work, General. The aliens never expected us to strike back so quickly. The human military leadership had spent months studying captured Dominion, technology and navigation data. They had identified the Empire's key weaknesses: overextended supply lines, centralized command structures, and most importantly, complete overconfidence in their own superiority. Captain Anderson, leading a strike force near the Dominion mining world of Tertius, reported back to command. We've captured their fuel depot intact. The aliens abandoned it without destroying their supplies. Excellent, General Ross replied. Secure all resources. We'll need every advantage we can get. The speed of human operations bewildered Dominion commanders throughout the Empire. Human ships appeared to travel vast distances in mere days, striking targets that should have taken weeks to reach. Their fleets materialized at multiple locations simultaneously, as if they could be everywhere, at once. On the conquered world of Althea, the native population watched in amazement as human ships descended from the sky. For 300 years they had lived under Dominion rule, their own military crushed, their hope extinguished. Lieutenant Commander Hayes broadcast to the planet's surface. People of Althea, we are the human liberation forces. Your oppression ends today. We're here to help you reclaim your freedom. The Althean leader, Elder Korn, stepped forward cautiously. You're fighting the Dominion? But they are too powerful. No one can defeat them. Hayes smiled grimly. We're not trying to defeat them the way others have tried. We're showing them what happens when they pick a fight with humanity. Throughout the Dominion Empire, similar scenes repeated themselves. Conquered species watched in wonder as human forces systematically dismantled the military infrastructure that had kept them enslaved for centuries. The humans fought differently than any species the Dominion had encountered. Other races battled for survival, driven by desperation and fear. But humans seemed to fight for something else entirely. Abstract concepts like freedom, justice, and the right to exist without oppression. Colonel Martinez, leading ground forces on the fortress world of Bastion Prime, exemplified this difference. When her troops encountered Dominion civilians, she ordered them protected rather than enslaved. When enemy soldiers surrendered, she treated them according to human military codes rather than executing them. Sir, why don't we just destroy everything like they do? Asked Sergeant Phillips. Martinez looked at the young soldier seriously. Because that's what makes us different from them, Sergeant. We don't fight to conquer. We fight to liberate Araku. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Vex faced his greatest crisis in a 1,000-year career. The Empire's military was in chaos, their communication networks disrupted, their supply lines severed. Conquered worlds were rebelling, inspired by human example and supported by human weapons. "How many systems have we lost contact with?" Vex asked his staff. 47 confirmed, Admiral. Possibly more. The humans are jamming our long-range communications across multiple sectors. The most disturbing reports came from the Empire's intelligence division. Human industrial capacity seemed impossible. They were building new ships faster than the Dominion could destroy them. Every human world had transformed into a weapons factory, working around the clock to support their military. Their entire civilization has mobilized for war, reported Intelligence Chief Drac. Every human, from children to elders, is contributing to their war effort. We've never seen anything like it. Admiral Vex studied the galactic map, watching red indicators spread across Dominion territory as human forces continued their relentless advance. They weren't just fighting a war. They were conducting a campaign of liberation that threatened the very foundation of the Empire. "Sir," Communication Officer Zane interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. They're broadcasting to all Dominion worlds simultaneously." On screens throughout the Empire, General Ross appeared, his uniform crisp, his expression determined, but not cruel. "People of the galaxy," he began, "for too long you have lived under the boot of Dominion oppression. Today humanity offers you a choice. Stand with us, and we will help you reclaim your freedom. Your chains can be broken. Your worlds can be yours again." The message continued, showing footage of human victories, liberated worlds celebrating, former slaves now free to determine their own destiny. Admiral Vex felt something he had never experienced before: genuine fear. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were winning hearts and minds throughout the galaxy. "Admiral," his aide whispered urgently, "the High Command is requesting your immediate presence. They're convening an emergency session to discuss the human problem." As Vex prepared to leave for the capital, he realized that the Dominion Empire faced its greatest threat in 1,000 years. These humans had done something no other species had managed. They had given the galaxy hope, and hope, as the Admiral was beginning to understand, was more dangerous to the Empire than any weapon. Part 4. Full Scale. War. The Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime had never witnessed such chaos. High Command officials from across the Dominion Empire gathered in emergency session, their voices raised in heated debate. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire faced a threat to its very existence. Supreme Leader Drex, ancient ruler of the Dominion, slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor. The hall fell silent. His voice, cold and commanding, echoed through the chamber. "The human infestation has spread too far," he declared. "They have inspired rebellion in 47 systems. Our authority is being questioned for the first time in centuries. This ends now." Admiral Vex stepped forward. "Supreme Leader, the humans fight unlike any enemy we have faced. Their tactics are unpredictable, their technology more advanced than we initially assessed. Are you suggesting the mighty Dominion cannot defeat a single primitive species?" Drex's eyes glowed with dangerous intensity. "No, Supreme Leader, but I recommend we mobilize our entire military force. Every ship, every soldier, every resource. The humans must not be underestimated." "Supreme Leader." Drex nodded slowly. "Very well. Issue Order 7 Absolute. Total mobilization, every Dominion. World will contribute to the war effort. We will crush these humans and make an example that will terrify the galaxy for another 1,000 years." Across the Empire, the largest military mobilization in galactic history began. Warships that had been patrolling distant sectors were recalled. Defense fleets guarding conquered worlds were reassigned to the human front. Manufacturing centers shifted to full war production. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, humanity prepared for the storm they knew was coming. Every human world had transformed into a fortress. Earth's surface bustled with activity as massive orbital shipyards worked day and night, producing vessels of war at an incredible pace. President Chen addressed the United Earth Assembly from the capital. My fellow humans, we stand at a crossroads in galactic history. The Dominion Empire has ruled through fear and oppression for 1,000 years. They offer us only chains. We offer the galaxy something they have never known: freedom. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Human colonies that had been established for peaceful exploration now served as military bases. Scientists became weapons designers. Teachers became strategic planners. Every human citizen understood what was at stake. Captain Torres, commanding the new battleship Prometheus, reported to Admiral Blake. "All systems ready, Admiral. The new plasma cannons are performing beyond specifications." Admiral Blake nodded approvingly. "Outstanding, Captain. How many ships do we have ready for the final engagement?" The preliminary battles began at the edge of the solar system. Human defense forces, outnumbered 2-1, fought with desperate courage. Every asteroid base, every defense platform, every mobile unit knew that failure meant not just their own destruction, but the end of hope for countless oppressed worlds. Fighter pilot Lieutenant Park dove his craft between massive Dominion battleships, his targeting computer locked onto their weapon systems. "This is for every world you've enslaved," he whispered, firing his missiles into the alien ship's critical systems. The space around Earth became a maelstrom of combat. Human ships, smaller but faster, darted between Dominion vessels like wolves attacking a herd. The aliens possessed superior firepower, but humans fought with a unity of purpose that the conquest-focused empire couldn't understand. As the battle raged, reports reached both fleets of fighting throughout the galaxy. Liberated worlds were holding against Dominion counterattacks. Enslaved populations were rising in rebellion. The war had become truly galactic in scope. General Ross, coordinating the defense from Earth's orbital command center, received a priority transmission. The message made his blood run cold. "Sir, intelligence reports that the Dominion flagship carries a star-killer weapon. They intend to destroy our sun if they cannot defeat our fleet conventionally." Ross stared at the tactical display, watching. Thousands of ships engaged in desperate combat around Earth. The Dominion was prepared to commit genocide rather than accept defeat. "Send a message to all human forces," Ross ordered. "The enemy is planning to destroy our star. We cannot allow that weapon to reach firing position. All ships, prepare for final assault on the enemy flagship." The fate of humanity and the freedom of the galaxy would be decided in the next few hours. As human ships regrouped for their desperate attack on the Dominion superweapon, every person in the fleet understood they were fighting not just for their own survival, but for the right of all free beings to exist without oppression. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. Victory and new order. The space around Earth blazed with the light of 1,000 suns as the largest battle in galactic history reached its climax. The Dominion flagship Annihilator, massive as a small moon, moved steadily toward firing position for its star-killer weapon. Around it, the desperate remnants of the human fleet fought against overwhelming odds. General Ross watched the tactical display from Earth's command center, his face grim. "All remaining ships concentrate fire on the Annihilator. We have to stop that weapon from charging." Admiral Blake, his own ship heavily damaged, responded over the communication system. "Ross, we've lost 60% of our fleet. The flagship's shields are too strong. We can't penetrate them with conventional weapons." On the bridge of the Annihilator, Supreme Leader Drex watched the human ships throw themselves against his vessel's defenses. Pathetic creatures. They fight like cornered animals. "Prepare the Starkiller. We will end this rebellion by destroying their precious sun." But something was happening that neither side had expected. Throughout the battle, ships from liberated worlds had been arriving in Sol system. The Cassandrans brought their crystal-powered vessels. The Alteans contributed their fast attack craft. Former enemies of the Dominion, inspired by human sacrifice, had come to help defend Earth. Elder Voss, commanding the Cassandran Relief Fleet, broadcast to all allied forces. "People of the galaxy, today we stand together as free beings. The humans showed us that tyranny can be defeated. Now we show them they do not stand alone." The combined fleet of liberated species struck the Dominion forces from behind. catching them completely off guard. Suddenly, the humans were no longer outnumbered. Ships that had been slaves to the Empire now fought alongside humanity for their shared freedom. Captain Martinez, piloting her damaged fighter toward the Annihilator, spoke to her squadron. "Phoenix Squadron, this is our moment. That weapon cannot be allowed to fire. Follow me in." The remaining human fighters dove toward the massive flagship, weaving through defensive fire that could vaporize them instantly. Many didn't make it, but those who survived reached their target, the Star Killer's charging array. On the Annihilator's bridge, alarms screamed as the human fighters began their attack runs. "Supreme Leader, the Star Killer is taking damage." "The humans are targeting the weapon directly," Drex snarled in fury. "Impossible. No species has ever dared such a desperate attack." But the humans kept coming. Lieutenant Park, his fighter systems failing, made a choice that would be remembered forever. Instead of pulling away, he aimed his damaged craft directly at the Star Killer's main power coupling. "For Earth," he whispered, and dove his ship into the alien weapon. The explosion tore through the Annihilator's hull, sending cascading failures throughout the massive vessel. The Star Killer weapon, moments from firing, overloaded and detonated within the ship itself. The flagship of the Dominion Empire, the vessel that had conquered 100 worlds, broke apart in a brilliant flash of light. Supreme Leader Drex, the tyrant who had ruled the galaxy for centuries, perished with his dreams of absolute power. Admiral Vex, watching from a surviving Dominion cruiser, stared in shock as his empire's mightiest weapon was destroyed by a single human pilot sacrifice. Around him, the remainder of the Dominion fleet began to surrender or flee. "It's over," he whispered. "The Empire is finished." General Ross received the surrender of the Dominion forces with a mixture of relief and sadness. So many had died to reach this moment, humans and aliens alike who had believed that freedom was worth any sacrifice. "This is General Ross to all Dominion vessels," he broadcast. "Lay down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You will be treated according to the laws of war. Your crews will not be harmed." The announcement shocked the surviving Dominion officers. Throughout their empire's history, defeated enemies were enslaved or executed. The concept of mercy was foreign to them. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to transform. The Dominion Empire's collapse left a power vacuum that humanity helped fill, not through conquest but through cooperation. A new galactic council was established, with representatives from every free world. President Chen addressed the first meeting of the new council from the rebuilt chambers on Nexus Prime. "We gather not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals. The age of empire is over. The age of cooperation begins." Former Dominion worlds were offered a choice: join the new galactic community as equal partners or maintain their independence. Many chose to join, eager to experience the freedom they had been denied for so long. Admiral Vex, now a prisoner of war, was brought before a human tribunal. He expected execution or lifelong imprisonment. Instead, he found something he had never encountered in his long military career: justice tempered with mercy. "You have committed crimes against countless worlds," Judge Harrison told him. "But you will have the opportunity to make amends. Help us rebuild what the Empire destroyed, and you may yet find redemption." The reconstruction of the galaxy became humanity's greatest project. Human engineers worked alongside alien scientists to repair damaged worlds. Human teachers helped former slaves learn to govern themselves. Human medical teams treated the wounds left by centuries of oppression. On the world of Cassandra, Elder Voss stood with Colonel Hayes, watching human and Cassandran children playing together in schools that taught cooperation instead of submission. "Your species has given us something more valuable than victory," Voss said. "You have given us hope for a better future." Hayes smiled, watching the children learn from each other despite their different species. "That's what we've been fighting for all along. The chance for everyone to have a future worth living." Years passed, and the galaxy settled into its new reality. Trade replaced tribute, cooperation replaced conquest. The fear that had dominated galactic civilization for 1,000 years gave way to something unprecedented: genuine peace. In the halls of the new Galactic Council, representatives from hundreds of worlds worked together to solve problems that affected them all. The human ideals of democracy, individual rights, and mutual respect had taken root throughout the galaxy. General Ross, now retired, often visited the memorial to those who had died in the war against the Dominion. The names of humans and aliens alike were carved in stone, beings who had given their lives so that others might be free. A young reporter once asked him what had made the difference in humanity's victory over such overwhelming odds. Ross thought for a long moment before answering. The Dominion fought for conquest. We fought for something bigger than ourselves. They never understood that some things are worth dying for, because those same things are what make life worth living. The galaxy had learned that lesson too. Freedom, justice, and the right to determine one's own destiny were principles worth defending, and as long as those ideals survived, no empire, no matter how powerful, could stand against the united will of free peoples. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy as newcomers. They had become its liberators. But most importantly, they had shown that even in the darkest times, hope could triumph over despair, and freedom could defeat tyranny. The age of the Dominion was over. The age of freedom had begun,